Hey guys, I'm Wendy Lynch with UF-IFAS Extension here in Putnam County with Family and Consumer Sciences, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about blueberries. We're going to talk a little bit about the history going way back with blueberries, why blueberries are good for you, how to select the perfect blueberry, and how to store and prepare blueberries at home. And then, of course, I have to add in a couple of yummo delicious recipes. Okay, so on this screen, this is an infographic. I've broken it down into 3 different slides, but I wanted you to see this is from the U.S. Highbush Blueberry Council. And in 2016, they celebrated 100 years of blueberries, which is exciting. So I guess now it's 2020, so 104 years old. So if you look at the picture down at the bottom, that's a picture of Elizabeth Coleman White, and her family had a history of farming specifically in cranberries way back in the 1800s. And about the age of 22, which was 1893-ish, Elizabeth was working on her family's farm. And that's kind of where her story began. Well, as time passes, her story's tied, and how it's actually tied to the blueberries is she read a book that was written by Dr. Frederick Koval. And Dr. Koval, through his research, was able to determine like best management practices for propagating wild blueberries. Okay, so back to the book. It was titled Experiments in Blueberry Culture. And so she was super inspired, and this is Elizabeth. So she reached out to him, and together in partnership, they actually cultivated their first blueberry crop in 1916. So 1916 is really when the farm to table story for blueberries began. One other thing Elizabeth did for blueberries, among the many other things, is to improve the packaging for blueberries. So she decided to use cellophane not only to protect the blueberries, but also to make them more appealing for those of us that who might purchase those would actually buy them. She goes on to organize the New Jersey Blueberry Cooperative Association, but her accolades don't stop there. So I'll make sure I add in the notes a link just in case you're interested in learning more about Elizabeth, because she's done so much more. But let's jump on to the 70s. If you look in the left part of the slide where you see the red, white, and blue, 1974, USDA announces that, guess what? July has become National Blueberry Month. What a perfect time to celebrate America and add in some blueberries. If you've ever heard the term antioxidants, well, that's in the 90s. This is where the researchers really began to study this in blueberries. 2011, so 2011, blueberries were planted in the White House kitchen garden, which I think is outstanding. And finally, like I mentioned before, 2016 celebrated 100 years of blueberries. Why are they so good for you? So if we're looking at a half a cup of blueberries, if you think about size-wise, it's about half of a baseball. Not too much. If you have a measuring cup at home, kind of see what that looks like. So first you've got vitamin C. Vitamin C is going to be what protects our cells from damage. It's needed to make collagen, which is really helpful in healing, also for anti-aging properties. It's also a good helps your body actually use the mineral iron from plant-based foods. So vitamin C, we think of it oftentimes here in Florida as it being a source from orange juice, but you're also going, or in oranges, but you're also going to find it in blueberries. So that's one of the great benefits. Then second one, fiber is always my favorite. We always know fiber is what keeps us full. It helps your body with a lot of different functions besides getting the garbage out. So it can help lower blood sugar. So if you know someone that's diabetic, that can help with blood sugar. It may also lower cholesterol and reduce risk of heart disease. So a lot of good things came from even just a half a cup of blueberries. So the next one you see is going to be the mineral manganese. And this mineral is something that's going to help your body with energy. It's also going to help protect your cells from damage, and it's also an important mineral for bone development and protection and to keep your immune system healthy. All right, moving along, rich in phytochemicals. So you may have heard this word before, but this is the last one we're going to talk about today. And these blueberries are so rich in phytochemicals. This is going to be something you're going to find naturally in plants, And plants use phytochemicals to actually protect themselves. And what's so cool is that now that research is also showing that phytochemicals, working along with a few other chemicals, can even protect our bodies too. So that's the cool part of our half a cup of blueberries. It's got vitamin C, fiber, manganese, and very rich in phytochemicals. But keep in mind, there's a lot of other good things, but these are the ones I wanted to highlight today. So far, we've covered a brief history of blueberries, a snapshot of the health benefits, and now let's take a look at how to select the best blueberries. You want to choose the fruit that's going to be plump and solid with a smooth skin. Take a look at the picture. So in this picture, do you notice that powdery coating on the blueberry? This is actually called the bloom, and this is how fruit protects itself against insects and bacteria. Also helps to keep in the blueberries' moisture. If you've ever wondered where blueberries get their color, it's from a phytochemical, what we mentioned earlier, called anthocyanin. While selecting your blueberries, you want to choose the ones that are going to be dark blue to a purplish in color. If you're not picking your blueberries fresh from the farm, be sure to choose the ones without stems and leaves. All right, so now we've got a basket full of blueberries. Now what? You'll want to keep your blueberries in the fridge. Keep the bloom until you're ready to eat them. Simply rinse them when you're ready and enjoy. For the best quality, you want to use your fruit within about 10 days. I'm going to share with you 2 ways to freeze blueberries. So option 1 is unwashed, and of course you want them to be dry. Pick your very best berries. So think about the ones that we just talked about for selection, the plump, definitely having that powdery coating. And any of them that are bruised or shriveled, go ahead and toss those or put them in your compost. And you'll want to store these in a freezer safe container or a storage bag, also freezer safe. Option 2, if you decide to wash them prior to freezing, be sure they are thoroughly dried. You're going to pour the blueberries in a single layer on a baking sheet and freeze for an hour. Then you can store them in a freezer safe container in a storage bag. This is just so they don't clump together. But keep in mind, if you choose option 2 as your method to freeze, the skin of the blueberries may become tough. So option 1 is definitely preferred. If possible, you just have to remember to rinse those berries once you prepare to use them. And as you can see down in the blue stripe down at the bottom, make sure you enjoy those blueberries within 6 months. Let's brainstorm. I'm going to pause for about 30 seconds and I want you to list as many ways to include blueberries into your day. So think about breakfast, lunch, dinners, and don't forget about snacks too. All right, grab your pen and paper. 30 seconds on the clock. Go. Okay, time's up. Pencils down. So how many did you come up with? So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on the next slide. So here are some of the recipes. But before we jump into these, some of the things that were mentioned at our 4-H meeting earlier was blueberry pancakes. Of course, throw them in ice cream or a smoothie. Someone mentioned adding them to yogurt. Those would all be great examples. What about, oh, we saw cupcakes earlier as a sweet treat. Another option might be to add blueberries. I kind of like to eat them plain just as a snack. The 2 recipes you see here, the one on the left is fresh from Florida, Florida blueberry pop pastry, very similar to what you might purchase at the store and throw in the toaster for breakfast. But this is a great recipe you can make at home and adding in those fresh blueberries. Then on the right is a great smoothie blueberry blast smoothie, and I'll make sure I include the link for that one as well for you in the notes. We've covered a lot about blueberries in a short period of time, a little bit of the history, nutrition, and health benefits, how to select, store, and prepare blueberries, And you came up with some ideas for ways to include blueberries throughout the day, and I provided you with a couple of recipes. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and that's a wrap on blueberries.